Another huge twist in the Elon Musk Twitter saga. The world's richest man is putting his $44 billion Twitter takeover temporarily on hold, but then insisting he's still committed to completing the acquisition. Quote, Twitter deal temporarily on hold pending details supporting calculation that spam fake accounts do represent less than 5% of users. Musk needs to act fast. Biden's new disinformation czar already thinks she's qualified to start editing your tweets.
Verified people can essentially start to edit Twitter the same sort of way that Wikipedia is, so they can add context to certain tweets.
And speaking of disinformation, the White House sure knows how to traffic in it. They tweeted out a bogus claim that there was no vaccine available when Biden took office, which is a flat-out lie. Hit it, Jesse.
Well, first of all, that woman is a snob, Jankowicz, but there's nothing worse than being a snob. It's a snob that works in government. That combination is really deadly. I don't know what Musk is trying to do. You can't monetize a bot. You can't make money off a bot. So if they're boosting the bot count, then he's paying overpriced for the platform. So he needs to figure it out, or he's trying to cut loose from the deal because the market's tanking, especially tech. Rates are going up. Maybe he can't get the financing he thought. I don't know what he's trying to do, but I like what he's trying to do here. You're able to get paid for certain tweets. And I love that idea. If you have a tweet that goes viral, like this tweet went viral, 250,000 people liked it. This is a funny tweet. She says, I've started reading before bed instead of scrolling Twitter. And not only am I sleeping really well, but I also think I'm better than everyone. So that got 250,000 likes. And that's pretty funny. So she should be able to get paid for that.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, yeah.
You don't think that's funny?
Well, yeah, I do.
You just told me you read before bed last night,
did,
and you
but I
think
don't
you're
think it's
better
worth
than
any
everybody.
money. I
She
know.
doesn't think she knows.
250,000?
Get pants on
She
fire.
doesn't
You say I
think
don't,
water,
I
she
know I
knows. Big difference. She knows.
All right, Tyrus, let's get back. Look, Elon Musk, there's speculation that he wants to get out of the deal, but there's also speculation that he's just trying to get the price down. What do you think?
I don't think it's either of those things. I think he's exposing more of their, what's the scientific word?
Shenanigans?
There we go, or BS. So they're saying it's less than 5%. And I, too, think it's a lot bigger number than that. I think a lot of the things that we see on Twitter are pushed by fake accounts, bots, and fake algorithms. So he's going to expose, and people will start seeing that maybe that number is like 20%, which makes a huge difference when you look at how information's been pushed forward. It only furthers his cause to why he needs to buy it. And it's because, let's face it, the woke are a lot of things, but the woke ain't going broke. Every one of those stockholders, they want those chips.
Yeah.
But he's going to, before you go, the people are going to see your real face. That's what I think this is about.
Emily, don't you think that more than anything, Elon Musk is the guy who knows how to negotiate?
100%, right? He's been called an erratic visionary and manic. He could be a lot of things, but I think he knows what he's doing to the tune of his $43 billion. And I think, you know, to root this down, the whole purpose is his duty to the shareholders and to the value, right? So if you learn after you've proffered $43 billion that it's actually worth 20 because 20% of those accounts are fake, then why should he fork over all of those billions, right? So I think that the rumors about him wanting to back out are inaccurate. I think he wants to get the value for his dollar because after he takes this private, then he's going to want to drive it up because for him, that's where the profit is. And I think that the added bonus is the dedication to that public square of free speech that we are all on board with. But bottom line, it's about that bottom dollar.
Okay, so the White House, the verified account, tweets today that COVID vaccine wasn't available until Joe Biden came in. Now, let me ask you a question. Leslie, why is it still up?
Janine.
Why didn't they content moderate that?
Oh, please.
It's a lie.
Oh, please. People lie about, and I'm not even an important person. People lie about, like me, every single day. There are lies out there coming from everywhere. And Twitter is not, Twitter's a business.
The White
They're out there
House
to make
wants
money.
to-
They're not out there to decide who's telling the truth or lying. And
But
we know
that's
that.
what they
And
say
if we're
they
going
wanna
to Twitter
do.
for truth, then we have a problem.
Wait
you
a
know what
minute.
I mean?
Leslie, the White House has this Nina Jankowicz, or whatever her name is, who's the disinformation czar, and they are actually tweeting out a lie. And they're not even, and they're still on Twitter. Why can they lie on something as important as when the vaccine was available? Can't you admit that's a lie? Is it a lie? Yes or no?
It's not an accurate statement. It's not an accurate statement. But can I say something about Elon Musk? Because,
Sure.
of course, no surprise, I'm going to be saying something different than the rest of you. But somebody agrees with me, and I actually said at first that Elon Musk wasn't going to buy this for this price tag. And the person who said that is Donald Trump. Mr. Trump, after Leslie Marshall said that. So I told you so. He's not going to buy it. I disagree with you. I think this is somebody who likes attention. I think it's a circus. I think he's having fun. It was an outrageous amount of money. And I just don't think the deal is ever going to happen.
Well, if he doesn't do the deal, I think he owes $1 billion.
Yeah, if the deal doesn't go through, he's sanctioned $1 billion.
It's the worst kind of prenup out there.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? I'm going to say one more thing.
Depending on what side you're on.
Elon Musk is hit with an SEC investigation over tardy Twitter stake disclosure. I mean, it took him 10 days to say he was buying it or whatever the claim is. But don't you think a guy like Elon Musk is a target for everyone on the left? For Barack Obama to come out and say, I'm in favor of content moderation and this is disinformation board, I mean, they're gunning for this guy big time.
You know, I'm on the left, and I don't care whether Donald Trump's on Twitter or not. I don't put as much importance in Twitter as perhaps some of my fellow Democrats do. And what Elon Musk does or doesn't do really, I'm sorry, it doesn't really affect my life.
Well, no, but it affects the left.
He's just some rich guy who likes it.
30 seconds. It affects the left. They hate this guy.
Well, they've been able to say whatever they want, and then anyone who disagrees with them, they've been able to punish or banish. So, yeah. And again, even if he doesn't buy it, he's exposing, and the American people are going to see how little actual real effect Twitter has. He's ripping off the curtain for the Wizard of Oz. He's not waiting. He's ripping the curtain off, and while they're doing the bangs and whistles, they're finding out that it was mostly just propaganda. So that's even if he doesn't buy it, it's a win for Americans.
Okay.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.